Hi, I'm Nick Vandehei, and I want to welcome you to Sizzling Spaces. This week on Sizzling Spaces, I'm joined by Tom. We're going to be talking about our Color 365 program, seasonal planters, and how you can take a simple pot like this and with the help of experts like Tom and turn it into a beautiful planter full of color that fits your style and will look great in your backyard. So to start things off, I want to just emphasize that we do have pre-made plants, potters, all ready to go, looking gorgeous. But for the duration of this video, we're going to be talking about some tips, some tricks about how to make a planter, and we're going to tell you a little bit about some processes that we have to help you create a beautiful planter that sizzles. So, Tom, let's just pretend that I am a customer.
Okay.
I come in and this is my pot. All right. I have measured my pot, and I'm going to say, Tom, my pot is looks about 16 by 16.
Okay.
How would we proceed from there?
So one of the things I need to know is it going in sun or shade?
My pot's going to be sun. It's a pretty sunny area, I think.
So 6+ hours of sun.
For sure.
And then do you have a certain color you like?
Well, I kind of like kind of red.
Okay.
So red,
Just so
primary.
happens to be right in front of us?
It's right in front. What do you know? Right there it is. Perfect. It's Tom read my mind. All right.
So typically what I do is I start off with something called a thriller, and that in most cases ends up in the middle. And throughout the growing season, that is the thriller, the plant that really stands out and showcases the piece. So in this case, I chose this sedge. It looks like a grass. In the fall, it gets a little bit orange on the tips. It's one of my favorites.
Awesome.
So you want to scratch some of the roots to encourage them to grow into the pot. Make good contact. So the next plant that I would put in here would be your fillers. In the case of the container that Nick pointed out, it would be, can you pick that up?
Oh, this one here?
Yep. So this is going to be your thriller. This is going to be your filler. And in Nick's container, I'm using Petunias. This one is kind of interesting with the two shades of red.
So while Tom's working on planting there, I'm just going to emphasize this cookie cutter again here. So this cookie cutter, if I come in, this is going to be something that we have on hand that we can give you, and we can measure it to size. It might look a little bit different if you have a bigger pot, if you have, for instance, a square pot as well. Maybe it's not round, but our experts like Tom are going to basically write a recipe for you. They're going to take our knowledge and a few simple questions about what your likes are, what your style is, and they're going to create a recipe that is fit for you. And then you can take your plants, follow the recipe right at home, take your cookie cutter home with you, plant them just the way that Tom is demonstrating, and then bam, you got a beautiful pot.
Okay.
Next step.
So once you have the thriller and the fillers, the last item would be your spillers. This is another one of my favorites. It will end up getting, it looks like a succulent, it is not. It'll end up getting a red flower on it. So I'm going to use that to spill out over the container.
Awesome.
And I'm putting that on the back side for a reason. Because in the front I want to highlight it with the sedum, which will get bright yellow flowers, fill this in, and cascade down. So this will be the front of the container.
So as Tom is finishing filling in our spillers here, I'm going to talk about the other two options. So this is option number one. You're going to come in, tell us about your pots, we're going to write a recipe, and send you on your way. Option number two is where you can actually drop your pots off here and have our expert designers fill them for you. Again, we'll ask some basic questions, we'll fill the pots, and we'll make it there. Option number three is going to be our full Color 365 program. Tom, you want to talk a little bit about that?
Sure, that is where I come and I visit the property. I look at your style, colors, the lighting of the containers, I ask your likes and dislikes. I might showcase some plants that I bring with. And then from there I come up with the design and schedule an appointment, and I come back and I do the installation. And that's anywhere from, I do 2 containers to dozens to flower beds. It's all part of the service. And then we can change that out 4 times a year, 2 times a year, 3 times a year, depending upon your interest. Typically I do most of them for summer and then holiday for people.
Awesome.
So this is what it looks like finished.
Beautiful.
One thing I want to point out is a lot of times people will plant containers, and in my opinion, they don't put enough soil in and they plant the flower too low. So especially at a lot of gas stations I'll walk by and I notice that they don't have enough plants in for one, and then secondly, they're so low that you only get the enjoyment when you look into the container. So I tend to put maybe an inch from the top of the container so that the plants are the showcase and they're highlighted right away.
All right, so now that we got this one finished up, let's take a look at this beauty in the back here, all right? So I'll move this out of the way and we can talk about this one. So what's the story with this pot, Tom?
Okay, so this is a client that I went to. It's their first time using Color 365. The container was light enough. I thought I would do a pre-planting of it, let it mature in the greenhouse for a couple of weeks before we deliver it to them. In discussing with them their idea for the container, I noticed that they had some herons in what I thought felt like a oriental part of their garden. So based on that, they love the oranges and the burgundies, a little bit of the hot pink, a little bit of a tropical feel with the fire poker, and then the canna. I might come back and add in some bamboo for them, but this is part of that program. This would be a custom piece.
Cool.
Using a lot of plants in this one, part of what I want is an instant impact for them. They travel a lot in the summer, so the little bit of time that they're here, I want them to enjoy like almost instantaneously what it'll look like. So I'm starting with one of 2 thrillers. This is a canna. It gets variegated leaves. When the sun comes through the leaves, you get striping. It'll be like a yellow, and then this will flower like an apricot orange. This is something new we're trying this year. It's a fire poker lily. We have 3 different colorations. We've got the orange yellow, there's an orange, and then there's a red. The thing too when I design is I look at the plant, and if I just put this in the container like this, all of the flowers are upright. Sometimes I'll angle them to get a little vertical of the color. So in this case, I'm tilting it slightly. Okay, a couple of things I'm going to point out. This Lotus Vine will fill in and cascade. It gets a flower on it that looks like a parrot's beak, and that color is in the coloration of the fire poker lily, repeating that color then down there. The lantana will continue to fill in, and as the canna leaves get really large, it won't be too long and this whole thing will be a lot fuller. The Gumfrena is something new we started using last year. This will get really tall. These flowers last a very long time. They come in 2 shades of pink, a red, orange. And then the Lysimachia, the more sun, the more yellow, the more shade, the more green. Again, I had mentioned that I may, before it's delivered, add some bamboo in here just to finish off that Asian look. But this is one idea of the custom pieces you get when you go through Color 365.
So this is looking beautiful here. What if I don't have a pot?
So if you don't have a pot, we just received in a couple of shipments of some really unique containers. They're located inside the showroom, outside the front of the showroom, and in the courtyard.
Okay.
And in addition to looking at the containers, you can browse through all our greenhouses and look at our annuals, perennials, and tropicals. And maybe if someone is available and you wanted a simple recipe, we would have time to quickly do that for you as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So just to recap, if you do want the recipe, we encourage you to call ahead and try to pick out a time, make sure that someone's available. Otherwise, if you're around and you wanted to ask, go ahead and ask us. We can put this recipe for you. That's option number 1. Take it home, plant it, and you're good to go. Option number 2, again, you can drop off your pot. We can build it for you. And option number 3, the full service Color 365 program. So all of these programs, all of these options are a great way to bring some extra color, extra life to your space and create a space that sizzles year round. Once again, my name is Nick Vandehei, and until next time, don't forget to sizzle.